The only way to deal with this life is defined, freedom within it. Freedom is not the absence of commitments, but the ability to choose and commit myself to what is best for me. Freedom is not worth having if it does not include the freedom to make mistakes. The secret to happiness is freedom, and the secret to freedom is courage. Freedom lies in being bold. To be free is not to have the power to do anything you want, but to have the power to do what is right. Freedom is the oxygen of the soul. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. The moment you give up your principles and your values, you are dead. Your culture is dead. Your civilization is dead. Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Freedom is not the right to do what we want, but what we ought. Let us have faith that right makes might. Freedom means the opportunity to be what we never thought we would be. The desire of gold is not for gold, it is for the means of freedom and benefit. Freedom is not just the absence of chains, but the presence of choices. The greatest glory of a free-born people is to transmit that freedom to their children. Freedom is the open window through which pours the sunlight of the human spirit and human dignity. Freedom is not a license for chaos, but a tool for progress. Freedom is not a gift bestowed upon us by other men, but a right that belongs to us by the laws of God and nature. The only real prison is fear, and the only real freedom is freedom from fear. The cost of freedom is always high, but Americans have always paid it, and one path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender or submission. Freedom is the will to be responsible to ourselves. The greatest thing about freedom is that it allows you to make mistakes. Freedom is not just about the right to speak, but the right to be heard. True freedom is where an individual's thoughts and actions are in alignment with that which is true, correct, and of honor, no matter the personal price. Liberty means responsibility. That is why most men dread it. Freedom is not doing what you want, but wanting what you do. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Freedom is not a luxury that we can indulge in when, at last, we have security and prosperity and enlightenment. It is, rather, antecedent to all of these, for without it, we can have neither security nor prosperity nor enlightenment. Freedom is not something that anybody can be given. Freedom is something people take, and people are as free as they want to be. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. The only way to deal with this life is to find freedom within it. The most important kind of freedom is to be what you really are. Freedom is the right to tell people what they do, not what to hear. The truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable. In the truest sense, freedom cannot be bestowed. It must be achieved. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Freedom is not a gift bestowed upon us by other men. but a right that belongs to us by the laws of God and nature. To be free is not to have the power to do anything you want, but to have the power to do what is right. Freedom is not the absence of limitations, it's the absence of inner limitations. Freedom is the right to question and change the established way of doing things. Freedom is the power to choose our own change. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Freedom is the emancipation from the arbitrary rule of other men. Liberty is the breath of life to nations. Freedom means choosing your burden. The best road to progress is freedom's road. The power to do good is also the power to do harm. Those who fall under the power of a master fall under the power of a tyrant. Freedom is the sure possession of those alone who have the courage to defend it. Freedom is not a gift that tarries long in the hands of cowards. Freedom is a fragile thing and is never more than one generation away from extinction. Freedom consists not in doing what we like, but in having the right to do what we ought. Freedom is not a destination to be reached. It's a journey to be taken. Freedom is the greatest fruit of self-sufficiency. Freedom is the power to say no. Freedom is not a state. It is an act. It is not some enchanted garden perched high on a distant plateau where we can finally sit down and rest. Freedom is the continuous action we all must take, and each generation must do its part to create an even more fair, more just society. Those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must undergo the fatigue of supporting it. Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Freedom is not something that can be given. Freedom is something people take, and people are as free as they want to be. True freedom is impossible without a mind made free by discipline. Freedom is a fragile thing and is never more than one generation away from extinction.